Happy Father's Day. Good morning and welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. Whether you are with us in the sanctuary or online, we are glad you've joined us. For our online peeps, take a moment to say hello. Let us know where you're watching from.
This week's Sharing is Caring benefits Casa Marianella, who welcomes displaced immigrants and promotes self-sufficiency by providing shelter and support services. For every share of our service on Facebook while we are live, we'll donate $5 to Casa Marianella.
Join our Board of Trustees at 1 p.m. today in Friendship Hall or on Zoom for our board gathering and newcomers reception. If you are new to Unity Church of the Hills, even if this is your first Sunday, please stop by to say hello. We would love an opportunity to get to know you. For those of you in person, light refreshments will be served.
Our Rainbow Fellowship will begin their annual fundraiser next Sunday in the foyer, or is it foyer, and online. Here's a sneak peek of this year's t-shirt design and bracelets. Make plans to visit their table at unityhills.org starting Sunday, June 27th. And happy Pride Month.
For you, it's foyer. For some, it's foyer. But for you, foyer.
Thank you, Tim.
Our young gardeners will be selling freshly harvested garden veggies from our kids' garden camp on Sunday, June 27th, after the 11:25 service. Look for the table in the foyer with all the colorful produce. Your support of our budding gardeners is greatly appreciated.
Can you feel the zeal and enthusiasm bubbling up within our community? We can, and it's super exciting. If you're interested in learning more about Unity Church of the Hills and becoming a member, mark your calendars for Sunday, July 25th through August 15th from 9 to 11 a.m. for our Path to Discovery new member class. You'll learn about Unity's 5 principles and get a chance to connect with key leaders and staff and learn more about Unity Church of the Hills. The class is free, membership is optional, and you can learn more and register today at unityhills.org.
Our daily prayer service is a brief moment in time to recenter in the awareness of the Christ presence and to lift our world in prayer. The daily service has moved back to in-person gatherings in our chapel, and all are invited to stop by at 11 a.m. Monday through Saturday for a midday spiritual oasis.
And speaking of spiritual oasis, let's settle in as we begin our Sunday service.
Over and over and over. my joy.
Say it again, you are my joy.
You are my joy.
As we enter into this celebration of joy this morning, think back on what the Lord has brought you through and know that there's a joy in your heart because you are here. And if you feel that joy, know that God has turned around and you turn
My
He'll turn
morning
your morning into dancing.
into
He'll do
dancing.
it over and over and over
Over
again.
and over.
Yes, He will.
Over and over and over.
I know that He'll
You turn my morning
turn my morning into dancing.
into dancing.
He'll do it over and
Over
over.
and over.
Yes, He will. Yes, He will.
And over and over again. You turn my morning into dancing. Over and over. Over and over and over and over again. You turn my morning into dancing. Over and over. Over and over and over and over again.
As we embark on a new day, standing in a new time in God's face, we have joy today. Come along and roll us through. Standing in a new time, God threw me a lifeline, and I can stand here today with joy because I know He'll do it again. Turn my morning into dancing. Won't He do it? Won't He do it? He'll do it over and over and over and over again. Turn my morning into dancing. I can do it over and over. Yes, He will. Yes, He will. Turn my morning
Into dancing. Over and over. Over and over and over again. Turn my morning into dancing. Over and over. Over and over and over and over again.
Come on, you know you're still dancing out there, right? I am. Celebration in the house. Woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know, I have to get dressed just because I need to compete with these guys that come up, because they're fly, right? No joke about it. Welcome, I'm Reverend Sheree Taylor-Jones, and welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. This is an amazing, sweet community, and as I look around, I'm just taking you in. Taking you in. So thank you for that gift. For those of you who are online, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. And if you're a dad, granddad, pop, write in the comment section what your role is on this Father's Day. And then the rest of you online, show them some love. So today is Father's Day. All right, so I know that you have plans, so I'll keep this moving so that you can get to your brunch. I get it. I get it. First timers, if you're here for the first time, welcome. We appreciate you checking us out, and we look forward to you becoming a part of our community. This is a really sacred place filled with people who want to be kind and loving and uphold the divine knowing of who you are. So you have found the right place to be. I also want to share with you UWM's Diversity and Inclusion Statement. So Unity Worldwide Ministries, I use the acronym and we use the acronym UWM. I know it's a lot of text there, so I'm going to just read it to you as well. This came out because of Juneteenth, And so for those of you who may not know, Juneteenth is when we are officially celebrating the end of slavery. And this was their statement. Unity Worldwide Ministry stands for anti-racism. We are opposed to racial hatred, racial violence, bias, systemic racism, and the oppression of people of color. We stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion for people who are marginalized because of color. No individual or group should be made to live in fear or excluded from society. Recent events in the US and the world remind us that violent repression, prejudices, injustices, and inequalities toward people of color are embedded in societies, from social structures to institutions to cultures. Unity chooses to be more aware and take positive action in dismantling systemic racism and the social structures that support injustice and prejudice, and we raise awareness throughout our membership, churches, and centers. They go on to say, Unity Worldwide Ministry Board of Trustees acknowledges that there has been and is systemic racism in Unity. We acknowledge and accept responsibility for the impact that our history with racism has made upon our Black and brown friends, colleagues, congregants, students, employees, and patrons, both past and present. We commit to eradicating any and all systems, policies, and practices that would in any way replicate our past mistakes or reproduce an environment that discriminates against or is inhospitable toward people on the basis of race, color, or ethnicity. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long journey, and we are finally standing up and moving from neutrality to saying this cannot stand any longer. That's powerful for this movement, who has been very insular and isolative, to come to the front of. So excited for this new development. Last week, I shared with you that our income was kind of on the downturn, and this week I'm sharing with you that the Wednesday evening service is going on hiatus. And we hope that they will be able to come back in the future, but right now, that is a decision that the leaders of this community have made for where we are financially. All right, so I'm going to invite James up and Roderick. You see those beautiful candles there. They will be lit each week in June to represent our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ+ community. And I've invited James to do the opening prayer for us today.
Happy Father's Day. Come on now, guys. Happy Father's Day. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Pride Month. Happy summer solstice. There's a lot going on, right? And there's a lot of love and energy and power in this place today and always. And in this community, we are one. We are love. And we're also abundance. You know, recently I felt sorry for myself and started to play the victim card because something hadn't gone the way that I had expected. And my heart was broken, and I was mean, and I said some mean things, and I wasn't my best and highest self. But I went into meditation, and Spirit told me, James, go back to your affirmations. Go back to your rejections. Go back to your affirmative prayer. Because sometimes we pray and complain about things or pray for things when we should be affirming the power and the love and the peace and the abundance that already are within us. And so I worked on that. And this morning I invite you to do the same with me. So if you will close your outer eye and just put your hand on your heart. Oh, gracious Spirit, Mother, Father, God, we come to you in this space, in this place of love and power and abundance and peace, acknowledging that you are all there is and all there ever will be, and that you reside within me. You are all there is. And when I stray from you, I can be brought back, knowing that unity consciousness serves me and serves the world as I express myself in the highest, most powerful version of myself, and that is love. In this time of at one mint, I acknowledge you. I remind myself that you are within me, infinite, eternal, powerful, wonderful, inexhaustible. I lean on you. And I remind myself that when I'm walking in fear, I can let that fear go and I can walk in courage and strength. And I remind myself when I'm walking in resentment, I can let that go and I can walk in love. And as thoughts of lack circulate through my mind and my body and my spirit, I let go of those and I return to abundance consciousness, knowing that all I have to do is affirm you, and let go of the things that don't serve me. So we breathe in peace and we let go of fear. So we breathe in abundance and we let go of lack. So we breathe in love and let go of backbiting and resentment. And we breathe in all the things that you want us to be. And we acknowledge this power, this light, this love, this energy, this abundance. We acknowledge it and we breathe it in. Let us breathe in deeply together. On an inhale, we breathe in love. On an exhale, we breathe out peace. On an inhale, we breathe in unity. On an exhale, we breathe out abundance. And so it is. And so we let it be. And so we let it be. Namaste.
Every time I look back, and every time I think back on all the stuff I've been through, I prayed through, I cried through, and then I tried you. And just when I was about to fall, your love caught me when your name I called. Jesus, you keep on looking out for me. Every time I look back, and every time I think back on all the stuff I've been through, I prayed through, I cried through, and then I tried you. And just when I was about to fall, your love caught me when your name I called. Jesus, you keep on looking out for me. Remember when the doctor said, he said he couldn't help you, and remember when the money never end. The sun came after you can smile again. Jesus, you keep on looking out for me.
That you keep on
Keep on
looking
out
for me. You keep on looking out for me.
looking out
For me.
I know that you keep on looking out for me.
looking out
For me.
In spite of all,
in spite of all I've done. Jesus, you keep on looking out.
For me.
say I shouldn't be here.
I shouldn't be here
And
today.
when I look back,
And when I look back on my mistakes, if it hadn't been for your grace, I don't know where I'd be, where I'd go. Who can love me like you do? And who can hold me when I'm going through? Jesus, you keep on looking out for me.
I said that he keeps on looking out.
Looking out
For me.
When I was all alone, he looked out for me.
keep on
Oh yes.
looking out
For me.
When I was going through, he kept on looking
keep
out.
on
Looking out for me.
looking out
For me.
Oh,
you keep on
looking out for you and me.
looking out
For me.
See, it's in his will that we will survive and keep going forward, because he's looking out for us.
looking out
For me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
keep
Keep
on
on looking out.
looking out
For me.
In spite of,
in spite of all I've done.
in spite of the things I put myself through, Lord.
In spite of all I've done.
In the time I tried to hurt myself, you looked out for me.
In spite of
In spite of all I've done, I know one thing, I know that.
Jesus, keep on looking out
For me.
Thank you, my love. I appreciate you. Hi, I'm back. Thank you, Celebration. Roderick, you always add that extra oomph there, so thank you. Father's Day today, and so I thought we would start out with maybe a little reality check about our dear dads. You can see from this one, this is Moses walking through the desert with his wife Zipporah behind. She's like, it's been 40 years now we've been walking in the desert. Do you think we should ask for some directions now? And then we all know the dad jokes. The dad jokes, my friends, nothing new. Nothing new. As you can see from that, why can't you hear a pterodactyl use the bathroom? Because the P is silent. Dad! Why? All right. So some little truths about our dads, right? I hope Eliza's proud because I just channeled her a little bit there. So our dads, you know, for most of us, when we were little, he was like our hero, all powerful and mighty, right? He's the one that we look to for security and safety. He's the one who held that moral compass, guided us, taught us right from wrong. And Dad had this unbreakable strength. And he was calm no matter what the situation. At least, that's what every episode of Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, and The Courtship of Eddie's Father, right? That's what they showed us. Those dads, they never got angry. They always had the right and perfect answers about morality. They kept their cool no matter what the situation. They weren't very demonstrative in love, but that's the guy thing, right? So they say. And they were always there to have that talk to help you handle whatever situation you were dealing with. So as I mentioned on Mother's Day, we talked about archetypes, right? Way back then, not that long ago. And we talked about the archetype is really a perfect prototype of a person or a role, and that it's understood across all cultures, languages, and periods of time. And the collective unconscious holds the archetypes, the constructs of the archetypes. And that's where we get our ideas of first the great mother and now the perfect father. So as I was preparing for this talk, I thought, let's look at this a little differently. And there's this wonderful book that I have the title there up, which is King, Warrior, Magician, and Lover, Rediscovering the Archetypes of the Mature Masculine by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. And they have a little different take on the archetypes, and I thought, ooh, this is going to be cool. I like this. So in their book, they have a theory that there are 4 mature masculine archetypes, and then each archetype has a tripart. The authors suggest that for men to be fully actualized, they must integrate all of those archetypes. And the way that Moore and Gillette describe these archetypes, it really has a feeling of masculine energy, right? And we know energy tends to be fluid. So, here's the first slide. You can see the archetypes king, warrior, magician, lover. You'll also see underneath that there's a female equivalent represented in that diagram, and I just thought it would be interesting for you to have a look and perspective of that because there are some correlations. But today, it's all about the guys. So we're just going to be working on masculine energy. The authors theorize this. Because there is a lack of rituals in marking a boy's journey and transition into adulthood, men in Western culture often remain boys. They suggest that rituals are powerful opportunities for the death of the boy ego and the putting aside of childhood things. The ritual is usually supported by an elder male, and he helps usher in adulthood. And in modern times, there are very few of these rituals remaining. There are some indigenous people that still uphold the rites of passage into becoming an adult, but there are a few cultures. Our Jewish friends have a wonderful ceremony of the bar mitzvah for the guys and the bat mitzvah for the girls, celebrating the shift into adulthood. And then also our Latina friends, they had the quinceañera for the girls at 15 to shift into womanhood. But unfortunately for our culture in general, where we are is we use unhealthy things like drugs, alcohol, and promiscuous sex as our experiences of coming of age. And we live in a society where the main construct is every man for himself. Therefore, we see many boys that are pretending to be men. So when we see those expressions of toxic masculinity in its various forms, we have an opportunity, we have a choice to show some compassion because no one showed them how to be a mature man. Now, this doesn't mean that we condone and accept the behavior, but it does mean that we can have empathy for them and not shove them into they are bad. You see the difference there? Okay. So this isn't about devaluing a man's inner boy. His inner child is important. When the inner boy is in its appropriate place, it's a spectacular agent for the man because it's the wellspring of fun and joy and curiosity. and adventure. The challenge comes when manhood is required, but all that is available is infantile immaturity. All right. So let's break down the formation of the archetype that they have here, the tri-part. So the top of the triangle, that is full maturity for that archetype, and the person is integrated and cohesive. While the bottom, the base of the triangle, is the shadow expression of the archetype. This is the dysfunctional expression. So the bottom left of that archetype is going to be the aggressive shadow of that archetype, while on the right, that's the passive expression of the shadow of that archetype. And Moore suggests that each man needs to integrate these two shadows to be able to express that full maturity of the archetype. And you know I've been talking a lot about this over time. And each of these masculine archetypes, there is an immature boyhood archetype. And I'm not going to go into detail about all of them, but I'm just going to talk through what you're going to see on the screen. Because, you know, if I had to go through that, that's a whole workshop, and you'll never get to brunch. So the boy archetypes are the divine child, the precocious child, the hero, and the Oedipal child. And for each of these immature archetypes, they still have the tripart you'll see there, which shows the fullest expression of that archetype, and then the two bipolar shadow expressions on the base. So in a healthy development of a boyhood to manhood, the child archetype, it doesn't disappear. It's not like they get rid of it. Like in our culture, we've got so much of this getting rid of things. No, what they do is they transcend and include. Transcend and include. On the right, you can see a vertical arrow there, which says the top is the mature masculine and the bottom is the immature. The authors also propose that with the proper support, child development goes through each of these child archetypes. From the divine child is where it starts as a baby, skips over the hero, but it goes right then into the Oedipal complex there, the Oedipal child, and then the precocious child, and lastly, the hero. And so the perfect development would be that the child transcends and includes in each of those archetypes as they become a mature adult. But what happens in our society and our families, there's often trauma. And so it stunts that developmental process. I'm going to just pause for a minute. And I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to be giving you a lot of cerebral information today, because I think it's important and it's vital, it's transformative. So I don't want you to sit there like, oh my God, she's fire hosing me. How am I going to take that all in? One is, I want you to know that this is being recorded, so you can use it as a resource, and all the slides will be there, so you can do that. But as you're sitting here today, what I want you to do is really just be with this information. If you're a guy, what resonates for you? Where do you see yourself? And then pay attention to some of the tips that you can use. And if you're a gal, I know you're seeing your husband, your brother, your father, your whoever in there as well, so just pay attention to those and support them. All right, does that feel a little more manageable? All right. So, the adult maturity levels, they do the opposite. They work from right to left, with the king being the most integrated and cohesive archetype. And you can see for each of the mature archetypes that there is a childhood archetype that kind of has a component to it. So you'll see, for example, that the Oedipal child is the root for the lover, the precocious child anchors the magician, etc. So we're going to start first with the most, or I should say the least, mature adult archetype, which is the lover. So this is the first developed archetype in manhood. And it's really about the emotions, the feelings, the sensuality, and idealism. The lover developed in fullness holds the spirituality, inspiration, the creativity, and intuition. Fully developed, the lover pursues meaning and purpose with passion. The integrated lover knows it needs the influence of the 3 other archetypes for balance and being grounded. So, some examples of that would be the character Romeo from Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare, or remember the Titanic, Jack and Rose, those characters, it would be Jack, would be the epitome of that. Now, the shadow side, which remember I said was at the base there, they're there because they lack that integration and coherence. So on the aggressive side of the lover archetype is the addicted lover. And the addicted lover is always searching for that one person or that one adventure that's gonna make them feel alive. But you know what? They're never satisfied. And they tend to be obsessive and often has a trail of destruction behind them, and usually in relationships. So these are your player guys, right? That's who they are. The guy who never wants to commit because something amazing and way better than you is gonna come by, right? So that's the addicted lover. On the passive side of that is the impotent lover, and this is the person that's lost their passion. They've lost that drive. They're really hard self-disciplinarians, and they don't seem to allow joy in their life. But here's the good news that I promised you on each of these archetypes. You can shift, you can transform them. So the first thing that is suggested for a healthy lover archetype is being in that present moment, right? If a lover is constantly looking for those intimate relationships or that pull, right, then being here in this present moment awareness means they are completely focused in the here and now and the juiciness of this moment. It allows for some moments of gratitude. And then you can also take part in a hobby, like something that you're passionate about, which then channels, right, that energy into a hobby. Spend some time in nature where you'll get the sensuality. Your 5 senses will be exposed to that. So that's another way to cultivate. The next one that we're going to talk about is the magician. Yes, it's not just Houdini, although Houdini did fit into this archetype. They are the ones who treasure knowledge, especially the mystical and the esoteric. They want to have specialized training and degrees, and they desire to be the master of their field. You'll find the inventors, the scientists, the tech wizards are using the magician archetype. And this archetype tends to be introspective. They tend to be a little bit more cerebral. And they love to mentor others who have proven themselves worthy, by the way. And the fully matured magician, they take setbacks and they turn them into opportunities to learn from and to evolve. They also have this amazing gift of distilling really difficult, complex spiritual concepts into something that's easily understood and learned by others. So an example of someone who is a magician would be like a mystic, Sherlock Holmes, Darth Vader, right? The magician. And then we've got the shadow sides, right? On the aggressive shadow side, we've got the manipulator. And he's someone who poses as the knowledgeable magician, but what they do is they withhold information, and either they try to get money or they have a power over position of the individual with promises of, you could be just like me. On the apathetic shadow side lies the innocent one. This person wants all the glory, the status, the accolades, but they don't really want to put in the hard work. They're the ones who get all the new hobbies all the time, they're gung-ho, and then it just trickles away because they realize it takes a lot of work to do this hobby. So, to develop a healthy magician, once again, we're looking at the meditation, right? this person is in their head a lot, so we want the meditation to bring them to center in the fullness of who and what they are. Also, you can, what else can you do? You can become a mentor or even find a mentor. You can also join a men's group, but my one kind of condition on that is if you do find a men's group, make sure that it's not filled with those manipulators or the innocent ones, right? Because then that's just a disaster waiting to happen. All right, so we're moving to the warrior archetype. This is where we find our activists and military and law enforcement types. For the warrior to be in its fullness, it must be used in harmony with the other archetypes. Must be used in harmony with the other archetypes, so that there is a balance with empathy, contemplation. And the fully mature warrior is powerful and supports a man in reaching his goals, fighting for worthy causes, and achieving greatness. And a fully integrated warrior harnesses his aggression so that it's a force for good and not destruction. And some examples of this would be James Bond, Braveheart, Martin Luther King. Now, the zealot outpicturing of this is the sadist. And the sadist is usually detached from emotions and empathy. They can be on the cruel side for those who are vulnerable and disdain the weak. They tend to be workaholics and impossible taskmasters. And then the passive side of that is the masochist, right? They feel powerless. They are in that martyr role, and they work hard to please people. So to develop a healthy warrior, we're going to move to meditation again, and we're going to stop shoulding all over ourselves in this archetype, right? And we're going to be comfortable in making those decisions, taking it into discernment. And then lastly is the king archetype. And when it is in the fullness of this archetype, he's centered in power within himself. He's confident, purposeful, and has this sense of well-being. He's supremely balanced because he's incorporated all of the archetypes. This is where you find your rock in crisis. And he's the one that others choose to follow. Why? Because he's inspired their creativity and greatness. He's blessed them and supported them on their journey. So an example of this would be someone like Winston Churchill or an indigenous chief. Now, the aggressive side on this is the tyrant, right? They like to destroy and tear down. They tend to be on the narcissistic side. And they don't believe that there's enough power for everyone, so they try to grab it all for themselves. And then on the other side is the weakling, which is the passive shadow. And this person just gives up their power to everyone and everything. And they don't want to have responsibility and control for their lives. So, how do you develop a healthy king? Once again, become a mentor. Find out what is your life's purpose. What are your values? What's meaningful for you? Now, some of us were blessed to have fathers who really embraced the maturity of the king archetype. But for most of us, we've experienced our dads as boys pretending to be men. It's just what it is. They didn't have the access to mentors or models that would support them. My dad, he was the embodiment of the lover archetype. He couldn't deny his own self-gratification. And you know what? That's how he learned in his family. He wasn't vulnerable or compassionate because that's against the man's code, right? And what's really nice is for me to stand here before you and know that I've truly transformed in that relationship. Like I'm not holding on to what I didn't get or what I should have had or blah, blah, blah. There is none of that. And he's passed on, you know, and today I can stand here and just be in this sense of love for who he was and bless him on the next side. So the reason that I've made this such a cerebral conversation, and I know that it's not my norm, is because I think that in understanding this masculine energy, it gives people hope. Hope. That any man sitting here today has the ability to grow and change and develop any undeveloped masculinity into becoming the king. And then for us women who have men who are not as developed and matured as we want, we can see that it's a possibility. It can happen. So today, as you celebrate Father's Day, I'm asking you to make peace with whomever your father was or was not. And then take a moment to know that any man sitting here today can make that choice to break the cycle in the family. Guys, this is just simply another tool for you to use in your own personal transformation. But imagine the change that you can have in another young man's life as you model health and maturity. Imagine the change that you can have on a woman as you bless her with your full maturity. This is why we do the work, my friends. So whether you're a biological dad, a pop, a stepdad, a foster dad, a surrogate dad, a DNA donor, you have the power. You have the power to become a fully matured and glorious king that you were always meant to be. Why don't we prepare for meditation? Celebration, come on up.
ask you to speak to us, Lord. We can hear your voice. We ask you, Lord, to speak to me.
Speak, Lord, speak.
I need to hear a word from you.
Speak, Lord, speak.
Guide me on my journey, Lord. Speak to me.
Speak, Lord, speak, Lord.
God is here. God is here.
God is here.
God is in this place.
God is here
Feel it moving all over us.
to break the yoke
Break the yoke
and lift the
heavy
heavy
burden.
burden.
God is right here.
God is here.
Oh yes, oh yes.
God is
To heal the hopeless heart and to bless you.
here and bless the
Oh, we ask that you lay your burdens down.
lay down the burdens you have carried. For in the sanctuary,
Let's take that nice deep breath in and exhale. Get comfortable in your seat. Allow your spine to be erect. Allow that energy to flow. Have your feet planted on Mother Earth and feel the sacredness that's in this sanctuary. This sweet place that we come to lay our burdens down, to be inspired, to be uplifted, to be seen, to be accepted exactly where we are in this given moment. And as we breathe into this energetic setting of love, of sacredness, of allness, we make a conscious decision to lay the burdens down. Maybe you have a burden about who you are as a man, who you are as a woman. What if you are exactly who and what you are needed to be in this moment? Feel that shift in energy at that realization. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Releasing, releasing, releasing any false beliefs that separate you from your truth. Divine, perfect human being in all its splendor. Take a moment and allow that truth to permeate every cell of your being in a moment of silence. At the sound of my voice, take a moment of thanksgiving for knowing the truth of who and what you are. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. And bring your awareness, your energy to this present moment. Feel the pew beneath you supporting you. Feel your feet on the ground. You may want to wiggle, stretch, open your eyes. Be here now. Namaste.
So this Father's Day, I'm thinking about legacy. The legacy that my dad will leave one day, and the legacy of his father. And we often think about legacy in relation to money or a foundation or something like that, but legacy is about presence, right? It's about the energy of those people in our lives and what they leave behind. And whether your legacy associated with your father was one of challenge or indifference because you didn't really know him, or imbued with love, you have the chance to help shift the legacy that you are creating in your life for those behind you. This morning in meditation, I was guided to the book, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And Lynn Twist talks about how our legacy begins at home, whether you have children or not. It's the legacy that we live in the world. And she writes, no matter how much or how little money we have flowing through our lives, we can use our money in a way that affirms life instead of scrambling for more and obsessing about the movement of money up or down in our lives. We can shift from scarcity to sufficiency, from compliant to commitment, from envy to gratitude. We can, through the stand that we take, through the power of conversation and through the conscious attention to our legacy, change the dream. And I think that's what we're talking about here this morning with Unity Statement and Reverend Sheree's message, is changing that conversation to create a new dream. And that is our intention here at Unity Church of the Hills and all that we're doing. And so this morning, as we move into our offering as a collective spiritual community, I invite you into that with us. It's not necessarily about grand gestures, but our legacy is built in everyday moments and how we show up over and over and over again. So with that, I'd invite the ushers forward. There are a number of ways that you can give this morning, and they are shown here on the screen. Notice that we have changed our text to give number. It's now 833-717-7700. No matter how you're giving this morning, we bless those gifts. And I invite you to say our offering affirmation with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife.
Celebration. Matt and Brian, thank you. You make it sound like the whole gang's here. So thank you for what you do. Be careful. Are you all right? All right, thank you. You made it, John, yes. All right, so for these offerings, we just have this sense of gratitude that it is multiplying, it is expanding, it is here to support this community as we look out and see how many people that we can love and support as well. And so for this, we are truly grateful. Amen. All right. I don't know if you know this, but we also give back to the community. So everything that comes in, we take a percentage of it and we give out to the community. We support homelessness. We don't support it, but yeah. I heard that come out. I was like, well, no, we don't. And so we do things like, domestic abuse and people who are in need of support and love and resources, we reach out to them. All right, so prayer chaplains. Prayer chaplains are going to be located in the chapel. All right, so we're tweaking. If you notice, like, wow, that's a little different this week from last week. Well, yes, it is. So we are tweaking just to find the right kind of groove that will work for the prayer chaplains and give them that space for sacredness. So if you don't know where the prayer chapel is, what you're going to do is you're going to go out these doors, go to the left where Jennifer's little area is. At the end of the hall, you make a right, go straight down. There it is. Boom. All right? These prayer chaplains are trained in holding the divine knowing of who and what you are, so please make use of them. Did you know your minister also has their own prayer chaplain? Yes, it does. Because it helps, right? It's an energetic exchange that someone else is holding the knowing and the truth for me and with me. So make yourself avail the chaplains. Hospitality is back. I heard it was a major success last week. Woohoo! That's going to be in the Friendship Hall. And at 1 o'clock in that same Friendship Hall, the Board of Trustees are going to be in there giving just an update of what's going on. If you're new to the community, we really encourage you to come and meet them. Even if you don't like political governance, church stuff. I don't really like it either, I'll be honest. Just come in and meet them. They're wonderful folks, and it's nice to know who you can talk to if you have questions. So please join us then at 1 o'clock. So if you're still there munching, then you're going to be part of that discussion. All right. What else is happening? Oh, what is happening next week? So you'll know, maybe you should come back for it. So next week, it's going to be, Who Are Those People? Who Are Those People is the title of the talk. And we are going to be looking at those thoughts that run through our minds when we see something, someone that is not in alignment with who we are. Oftentimes, we'll hear that thought go through, who are those people? And then quickly followed by, what's wrong with those people? Let's call it what it is, right? What's wrong with those people? So we're going to kind of deconstruct that a little bit. It's a little bit of participation. Graham's like, you got to tell them they're participating next week. I'm like, no, I really want people to come. So I'm like, it'll be group participation, and it's pretty light. So I hope that you will join us next week for that. And now we get to invite our kids on. If you're online, the camera will not show the kids for privacy reasons. All right, come on in, guys.
Walking in the light, beautiful light, ain't it wonderful how the light shines.
Hi.
Walking in the light, beautiful.
Hi, Carter. How are Thank you. So, what was happening this week, kids? Yeah, that's good.
Okay. My name is David, and I'm going into 5th grade.
David.
Today the lesson was to make sure not to assume anything. If you're assuming something, make sure to ask them.
Great.
Or if someone doesn't know how you feel about them, make sure to tell them. And yeah,
That's a great message. Thank you, Dave. Let's give Dave a round of applause. Woo-hoo. Yes. Oh, it's so, I got to tell you, it's so good to see you. And I'm sorry, teens, I call you kids, so forgive me. That was a group, kids. All right, good. So we just see these offerings just going and flowing into this community and adding to the abundance and prosperity that we know we are. So it is. So are you ready to bless them? All right. Rub your hands together, people. Get that energy moving, because we are going to push that energy out to our youths. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are. Amen. So it is. Do you want anything? All right, so we are going to invite the kids to leave, to go back to their rooms. And we cut this down for you kids in case you're like, but that was cheap. We didn't stay here too long. We do that because of the cameras, all right? And we want to protect you. So go on back to your rooms. Thank you for coming and blessing us. Thank you. Thanks. Somebody tried to sneak in with their parent. That's all right. Well, this has been a really beautiful service. Thank you for sharing Father's Day and honoring the divine masculine as well, that energy with us. We're going to close out with a prayer for protection, and then I'm going to try to run down the stairs and beat you before you get to the doors. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll try it. Are you ready? All right, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. See you next week.
Every time I look back, and every time I think back on all the stuff I've been through, I prayed through, I cried through, and then I tried you. And just when I was about to fall, your love caught me when the name I called. Jesus, you keep on looking out for me. Every time I look back, and every time I think back on all the stuff I've been through, I prayed through, I cried through, and then I tried you. And just when I was about to fall, your love caught me when your name I called. Jesus, you keep on looking out for me. Remember when the doctor said, he said he couldn't help you, and remember when
this is a repeat month and we didn't repeat. So why don't we just smile and just walk on the stage? Come on, come on.
I think that's a good idea.
Come on, baby.
Come on.